It's Jason Gallhoff with Teacher's Pension. Hey, this video I'm putting out with the sole intention of trying to help you understand why a 110 is going to be so beneficial. So I'm going to give you a little bit of background first. We're then going to go through some illustration pieces to kind of help you understand how it works over that period of time. And then I kind of want to kind of cap it off with why you should be interested in this. And so the concept of a 110 is it's actually named that because in state statute, which is where Colorado's Public Employee Retirement Association, or PERA, it's where their rules are written. It basically states that a benefit recipient, a retiree, is able to work up to 110 days per calendar year and not have their benefit reduced, basically. So similar to Social Security, you might have heard that, hey, when you retire from Social Security initially, if you do so before your full retirement age, there's an income cap. Well, there's no income cap on PERA. It's how much time you're allowed to work. And so the number of days is 110. Now, that's the normal. There is also a 140 option that every school district in the state of Colorado has the opportunity to use up to 10 of those. They usually hold those for administrators, people on extended contracts, that type of thing. So majority of individuals fit within the 110 parameter. And so that's the reason it's called a 110. Now, you'll sometimes hear it called a double dip year, or you might hear it referred to as a transition year. Majority of the time, it happens at the end of someone's career. Basically, what happens is you work up to a certain year, you retire from PERA's standpoint, and then you work an additional academic year, and you collect both your salary as well as your pension from PERA. Now, the reason that works is the way the law is stated is you're allowed to work up to 110 days per calendar year. Well, the beauty of an academic year is it's split between 2 calendar years. It's just that simple. So let me show you kind of how this is going to work over that period of time. So directly behind me here, you'll see that this is the Ultimate Greeley Master 2024-25 110 with taxes. And so I can't come up with anything better from a title perspective. What we're going to do is we're going to build somebody in this. And basically, we're going to walk through, what we can anticipate their salary is going to be, and then it'll build into how the 110 is going to be so beneficial. So the person that's retiring, let's say they're going to 110 in the 24-25 school year. Well, they need to let the district know by March 1st, 2024 in this case, or March 1st of any year that you're going to 110 the following year, that it's their intention to do a 110. So we're going to say that they are at the top of the pay scale. They're an MA 45, step 25, which makes their monthly salary that currently. And that's in the 23-24 school year that we're in right now. So you'll see the growth monthly salary up here. Then what's going to be the new contract salary? Well, you know what? Until we know what that's going to be, I just put in the current salary. They're not going to go backwards in these steps. Beauty on Greeley right now is they don't require you to lose the progress you've made on the pay scale. So we're just going to make that the same exact amount for next year. Now, if they get a pay raise, we can put that in. It's not a huge deal. Now, the other thing that we do is we run a pension report. And so here we've got Jane Sample. She was born so she's 56 years old. She's going to retire when she's 56. There's that salary that she's been making. She's married. She started in 1994, which means she's finishing her 30th year. And so on this particular piece, it's asking us what the gross PERA amount is going to be. Well, we run this pension report. What we can see is, well, she has 3 options. When you go to retire from PERA, you have 3 options, and I'm not going to go into explanations on that now. But for her, she's going to take option 2. So she retires from PERA at the end of the 23-24 school year. She'll retire in June of 2024. She'll have those 30 years of service, which equates to 75% of that highest average salary. Under option 2, her monthly pension is going to be the 6163 number. So we're going to go back. We're going to put that 6163 number into here. Now, her current monthly take-home pay. Well, the other piece that we did on this one here is we actually went in and ran a paycheck calculator. If we can get a pay stub from you, we can run this to basically see, okay, what is your current take-home pay based upon your current salary piece. So, hey, here's her gross paycheck. She's putting $300 into a health savings account. She's putting 5% into a 403B or 401k. Her PERA is 11%. Can't change that. That is what it is, which means her taxable amount is 7188. She's Medicare. She's married. She's not taking any additional exemptions, so we go through the taxes. And she has $150 of like GEA dues or Education Association dues, maybe a you know, something after tax that would be, an insurance product or something along those lines. Just for her sake, we're just saying $150. So you can see her take home pay down here at the bottom. We're sitting at about 5938.49. So we'll put that at 5938.49. Now, I did say she was married. I don't know. Her husband makes $90,000 a year. All right. Now, I did say she's putting 5% into the 401k, 403b. She's not putting anything into her 457, so we won't put anything there. Now, days buyback amount. The district does buy back any unused sick and discretionary time. It's at half subpay, basically. So I'm just going to say that she has, I don't know, 600 hours divided by 8. She has 75 days. So you have 75 days times half of subpay. She ends up with $6,300 in buyback time. That's probably a little bit high for a teacher. I've seen administrators well into the 5 figures, 10, 12, 14,000. Teachers anywhere between, well, if you use it a lot, it might be only a couple grand, but classified staff, it might be, 2, 3,000. I don't know. It depends. So extra payroll deductions, that's at $300 for the HSA. That includes that $150. So we're saving $450 is being taken out. Now, this PERA net amount here, that is actually calculated based upon current tax rates, based upon her PERA amount of $6,163, going into account that she's married, that she make sure that I've got her married on the actual form itself. Yep, I do. It actually goes through and figures out that her net PERA is going to be about $5,300 a month. All right. And I said she's retiring at 56. She's not going to be buying PERA care right now. She's going to go to her husband's insurance, that type of thing. So what that does is it runs this report here. And the way this report is read is that 2024 is this first page. 2025 is the second page. So that's the 2 calendar years that we're measuring over that one academic year. So, here we are, first part of 2024, all the way through May. That's just her salary amount. She's putting that 5% into this piece over here, into the 401k, 403b, and there's her 5938.49, which is her current take-home pay. Now, starting in June 1st will be her retirement date. She's going to start receiving her PERA on that date as well as her salary. So she's going from about an $8,900 gross monthly income to over $15,000. And if we weren't to do anything with any of that money, she'd basically bring home about $5,600 more than she's used to. Now, I'll show you why that probably wouldn't be the best thing for you to do from a tax perspective here in a minute. But what we can then do is use these other plans. So, like I said, you've got the 401k, 403b. The reason those are listed together is that the amount that you're allowed to put into a 401k or a 403b is the cumulative total between the two of them. And what that is this year, for example, is $30,500. And so if you happen to have both, if you put 20,000 in one, well, you can only put 10,500 in the other. So that's the reason we list them in that same column. Now, the 457 is different. It has an additional cap above and beyond that, which actually it's, for easy math, I say it's 30,500, but there are some pieces where if you've been with the district long enough, there's some additional catch-up provisions that you could go more than that. So those are the plans that we're going to use. Now, there's 2 trains of thought in all of this, all right? One is you want to try to stay as close to your current take-home pay as you currently are. So let's just try to do that. Oops. Nope, that's still a little bit much. So we'll go 35 and maybe 35. We're getting closer. Now we'll just change this one then for fun. 38. We'll go over here to 38. It looks like we'll probably be right about there. Yep, there we go. So for example, hey, without the PERA, Jane here's bringing in 39.38. with the para, she's bringing in, I'm sorry, 5938. Now she's bringing in 5893. So it's right in that same area. So you have the ability to then shelter 38% and 38% into the 403B or the 401k, and then also to the 457. Now, let me explain these percentages. These percentages are of the salary. So of the district salary, 38% of this 8914 number is at 3387.57. You are not allowed to shelter pension income. You can only shelter earned income. All right. So basically what happens in all of this is that these amounts are being taken out of the district salary, but the combination of the full pension take-home pay plus whatever's left of that district salary after the major contributions is going to equal about that same amount when it comes to the net return or the net take-home pay. So that's kind of how that works. Now, the one thing you'll see is in July. Well, I turn July pink, and sometimes it happens in June, sometimes it happens in July. But fact of the matter is, back to this data entry piece, the amount that you put in that date, the buyback amounts, it comes out in June or July. All right. And so that's the reason this $15,200 number is bigger in that one particular month, is because that's when they're giving you they're buying out that unused time. So we can just leave the 38% where it's at. You'll bring a little bit more home, basically. Yay. But that's kind of where that piece comes into play, is just because of that increased cost or increased income because of the buyback time. And we run that all the way through December. Now, if you weren't to shelter any of this money, the combined income would be about $156,400 for our friend Jane here. Okay. But because she's sheltering a combined total of, what is that, about $54,500 between the two plans. I'll show you what it does to her taxable gross here in a minute. So there's the rest of 2024. Oh, look, in 2025, we're in that same position where, hey, look, we're still sheltering. We're still in this position where, we're trying to keep that take-home pay right around the same. Now, here's where the other option comes into play. You can see that once your 110 is done, because your contract for this particular district runs September through August. So in reality, June, July, and August of 2024 are on the previous contract. September through December, and then January through August of this 2025, they're on the next teacher contract. So what happens at the end of that, come September, well, there is no more district salary. Therefore, you're not seeing any additional sheltering happening. But that's just the para amount. Well, we already determined that the para take-home pay is about $5,300, which is about $500 less than what you have been taking home. And so the other train of thought, I mentioned the first train of thought is to try to stick as close to this take-home pay as you can. The other concept is, well, let's get me used to a lower amount, 46 maybe. There we go. I don't know. 5287, and down here it's, yeah. So long story short, can't do that much. It'll actually be 45, not 15, 45%. You'd be able to shelter that for about, now you'll see down here what happens is, oh crud, now we're above that 30,500. Well, let's go to 44 here. We'll just increase this by 1% up to 39. And then we're below the 30,500 on both, so we're in good shape. What that does, though, is it brings down that take-home pay to be more in line with what you're going to be making in retirement. Okay. Now you'll see what happened over here. Well, crud, in 2025, if we stay at that 44%, we're going to go up to 31,379, which is more than what's allowed to be put into that plan. You know what? The district payroll software won't allow you to do that. What will happen is it'll allow you to contribute right up to that 30,500. It'll probably be 31,000 actually in 2025 because they bump up those caps a little bit, but they'll cap it basically. And so what you'll see is the 44%, 39, 22, 45 go in every year. And then let's say it does become 31,000. We end up taking 31,000 minus the sum of this. So you end up contributing 3,500 instead of 3,900, and you have a little bit extra on the back end. We can work with the math. Basically, it's what it comes down to. But long story short, the concept on this side is for you to become as close to your current, what your take-home pay is going to be, as opposed to what it is when you're double dipping or what you were used to bringing in prior to going into your 110 year. Now, the other piece that we take a look at is what if we were to slowly bring you off of that kind of thing, where hey, we're starting at you know, we want to be a little bit closer than that. All right, well let's get you at $5,600 basically. You go from 59 to 56. Oh, and then in January go down to 54, and then you get off of it completely. So you can either stay where you're at, what you're used to. You can tear off the Band-Aid and go with what you're going to be taking home from PERA, or you can do a gradual piece. Basically, is what it is. So let's see what the eventual outcome on all of this is going to be. Let me bring that down below what it's supposed to be here anyway. So this last page kind of goes over what the tax consequences are basically for choosing to shelter this money. So we mentioned Jane's married. Her husband brings in $90,000. Now in 2024, if she wasn't to shelter any of it, zero. Her 156,400 plus his 90,000 minus the current standard deduction for married filing joint, their taxable income then would be 204,756. All right, which would put them in the 24th percentile or tax bracket, and they'd have an effective tax rate of 17.2%, and the overall taxes paid for 2024 would be about 35,000. Now, same thing for 2026 or 2025, same thing. Hey, if you don't shelter anything, you're going to have taxes about 33.7, and your effective tax rate went down a little bit. Why? Because her income, instead of being 157, is 145, basically. Now, because if we look at sheltering the way we kind of talked about, Jane would put about 56,500 away in 2024. She'd put about 57.7 to 8 in 2025. Combined between those 2 years, she's going to shelter about $114,000 over that double dip time period. She's putting them into her pocket. All right. That is going to save her about $25,200 in taxes just by putting it in her pocket into her retirement account pocket, not into her take-home pocket. She's saving $25,200 in taxes, or 2% each year. So in 2024, if we take her total income plus her spouse's income minus the contribution amounts that she made, minus the standard deduction, the taxable income ends up being about 148 instead of 204. Big difference. She ends up, Jane and her spouse end up paying $22,000 in taxes as opposed to 35. All right, in 2025, 21,000 instead of 33. There's your $25,000 worth of savings, basically. So, long story short, the idea of a 110, financially speaking only, is almost always more beneficial than working one more year with PERA credit. That's going to be a different video, but you should check that one out too. But long story short, what we try to do here at Teachers Pension is help you understand how your paycheck's going to look, what your pension plan is going to look like. You know, we basically can run reports that are going to help us understand, hey, look, Jane, here you are at 30 years, retiring in 2024, and option 2, that's going to be your $6,163 basically. Oh, but if you work another year, you know, you're going to go up by $300 a month, you know, whatever. So we start with that piece. Then we build this specifically for you. Help you understand how that looks. Now, this is the last piece I'll tell you about it. A lot of people come into the double dip here with ideas of how they want to spend that extra money. All right. Hey, look, my income, Jane's income is going to go from 113 to 156. Okay. And if she takes it all home, her take home pay is going to go dramatically up. All right. Which means I want to use that. I want to pay off debt. I need a new car. I have this vacation that I want to take with my husband, whatever that is. I encourage you to have those concepts. I encourage you to. Bring those up when we talk about this, and here's why. All right. I'm not saying those things aren't possible. I'm not saying you have to choose either to shelter and save a boatload of taxes, or take the money home and pay a ton more in taxes. You don't have to, it's not either or. What I want to do is say, hey, if you want to do something specific with some of that take home pay or with some of that double dip money, let's find the efficient way to do it. And I'll give you a hint. You may not pay for it in the same year that you're getting your double dip. But fact of the matter is, Jane here, who's been used to making $113,000 a year, starting in 2026, she's used to making $74,000. That's a $40,000 difference in what she's used to making from an income standpoint. Well, you shelter it over these years and then start to take it out the year after that. There's a lot of ways in which to accomplish the goals that you set, but do so in a much more tax efficient way. So, hey, it's been 21 minutes, and I hope you learned something from this. My goal is to provide you with education to help you understand the process and the systems that we use that will absolutely benefit you as you start to track towards that retirement. So please let us run these illustrations for you. Let me run the pension report. Let me run the 110 illustration. If you want me to leave the ultimate Jane Doe master plan, we can call it whatever you want. The fact of the matter is, these things are going to help you make some very, very wise decisions as you step into that retirement piece. So please let me know if you've got any questions. I do look forward to working with you. Take care.